Please state your name.
Michael Pfleger, pastor of St. Savannah Church.
AKA Father Mike. So, Father Pfleger, we all know that you are very active when it comes to inner city gun violence and gun violence as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain from your perspective why gun violence should be considered a public health issue?
Well, I think for a number of reasons. I think number one is gun violence has entire communities held hostage. You talk about an epidemic that's holding communities hostage throughout the city. Post-traumatic stress that goes on in neighborhoods where there's so much depression and so much hopelessness, who feel like they're living in a war zone every single day, afraid to go out, afraid to sit on the porch, afraid to go to school, and therefore can't concentrate in school. And then the whole reality of you're taking 33,000 people a year are losing their lives to gun violence. If there was a flu bug that that many people losing their lives for in America, we would have all sorts of studies and all sorts of antibiotics and what we'd be doing to try to stop it. But the reason the NRA has fought so much it being put as a health issue is because once you begin to do the study of it and you begin to get the statistics in the study and find out all the causes that are bringing about this gun violence, then it puts them on blast, and they don't want that. So they fought this desperately to try to have it studied by the American Health is an issue as a public health issue.
Okay, and from what I know about you and your work, you did a lot with the actual shooters a lot of times. You're very fearless. And one of the things that I'm looking to explore in this project is that the shooters actually have some form of mental health issues that needs to be addressed. Can you talk a little bit about that with your experience?
Oh yeah, first of all, Chicago keeps saying that they have the largest gang population than any urban city in America, somewhere between 125 and 130,000. I don't know if it's true or not true, but that's what the mayor's office and the police department keep saying. Well, if that's true, number one, how did that happen? How did we fail our youth so that they ended up joining a gang in order to be a part of something? Number two, if somebody in a gang wants to get out, what do? What's the options for them besides the lockup? Where do they go? They call 911, they call 311, say, I want to get out of a gang, I need help. And a lot of them are suffering from lack of a family structure, lack of feeling valued, feeling respected. Many of them have no family around them right now, and on the news, all they're done is demonized as kind of like the terrorists of society and the terrorists of our neighborhoods. So they feel abandoned, they feel neglected, they feel disrespected, and many of them are desperate with not knowing how to survive. So we keep telling people, well, stop, selling drugs, put down the guns. It's all good. To do what, though? To what do they pick up? How do they survive? These are young people who society has turned their backs on, left as throwaways. Many of them have a lot of mental health issues, academic issues, been kicked out, dropped out of school. They're out here on the street. This particular at-risk group is the number one perpetrators and the number one victims. And we've just decided to let them shoot or kill each other off as long as they keep confined. It doesn't go in downtown, doesn't go on the North Shore. We just want them to go away. Well, they're not going to go away. These are our sons. These are our daughters. And if many of them are growing up in communities that oftentimes look like third world countries. You go around in boarded buildings, empty lots. You take the communities where you have the most violence in America and in Chicago. You'll see the same fabric all the way through them. Highest unemployment, underfunded and underperforming schools, lack of opportunities for young people to get involved in, proliferation of guns, most coming back from prison with nothing but a bus card and $20 to get home and no option to do anything. And we wonder why we have this violence. You treat a person like an animal, they're going to act like an animal. So we've abandoned them, and then we tell them, oh, you got to respect yourself. But every day we tell them they're not worth respecting. You got to value yourself, but we tell them we don't value them every day. So you have entire communities that are suffering from depression and post-traumatic stress, and nobody gives a damn about them.
Oh, you just touched me with that in a minute, because I see that a lot. growing up in Inglewood, right down the street, and this was always a safe haven, where we could come here and hang out. And a lot of those guys also, like you said, the broken home family structure is a huge issue.
Yeah.
They're coming from fatherless homes, moms who are stressed out because they're single moms, so it's a factor. And moving into that, because you talked about a lot about the problems, what do you think are some of the solutions to solve this?
Well, I think the solution, just today, coming out, the police task force is talking about how, finally admitting and acknowledging that the Chicago Police Department has institutionalized racism that has been deeply rooted there. We all know that. It's not a surprise. We have a new police superintendent. We're trying to revamp the entire Chicago Police Department. That's good. That's important. That needs to be done. Young man shot earlier this week and killed a 16-year-old. But if we have the best police department in America and we don't have the courage to deal with the more comprehensive issue, how do we wrap around our young people, churches, community organizations, groups, the city, everybody, trying to grab hold of them, love them, respect them, hold them accountable, and give them options and opportunities. Say there are there are 10 communities where we have the most violence. We don't target those schools here. These are going to be good schools. That you should not have a bad school just because you live in Auburn, Gresham, or live in Englewood, or live in Lawndale, or live in Roseland. You should have the same opportunity of education of any other person in the city. You should have an opportunity for a job. We've got to help folks who this broken family structure, instead of just keep demonizing this, how we decided we're going to help them and support them and put a structure back in place. Many young people go to the gangs for their family because they don't have a family at home. So how do we as a community begin to say how we're going to wrap our arms around these young people? I have churches that won't even hire them for internship for the summer job because they don't want them around their church. These are our sons. These are our daughters. These are our children. We've got to love them. We've got to respect them. We've got to hold them accountable. We've got to let them know that we'll help them make this transition to reach their dreams and their future. Or we should get up and move out of the community and say that we're not doing anything about it. But we have to put in place the good schools, the opportunities, the options, the wraparound social fabric that needs to be there, the safety net in communities, the mental health support. I mean, we close our mental health centers. There's no place for anybody to go. Churches and a lot of organizations abandon them. They don't want to deal with them. The city abandons them. So we lead them to the street and then wonder why there's violence. Sometimes when I see how we have turned our backs and neglected entire communities, I sometimes wonder why we don't have more violence. Mm-hmm. We have created this abandonment of whole neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. And either we're going to say we're going to go back in and realize we're no longer going to accept the tale of two cities in Chicago, downtown and North Shore, and then the west and the south sides, and say, no, this is not acceptable anymore. We're going to come in and target these communities to equal the playing field and give people options and opportunities. And then the churches, the community organizations, and the other groups have to reach out and say, how are we going to take these brothers in? We have probably 10,000 churches in the South Side. Imagine if every church just said they're going to reach out to 5 brothers. If every church just did that, we can make a dent in this whole game tomorrow. But the problem is there is a mentality that everybody's not going to make it, so they're going to fall through the cracks. Well, you know what? Nobody deserves to fall through the cracks.
That's so real. And the last question I wanted to ask was about Chuck's gun shop, because from my research and I've been there to protest. I know that they're responsible for a lot of the guns here because they don't follow protocol. How do you look at the NRA and gun shops like Chuck as contributing to gun health being a public health issue?
Well, that's easy because it's all about money. It's all about business. John Riggio, who is the owner of Chuck's Gun Shop, has horrible practice in his gun shop, knows that people are buying guns legally and illegally to sell onto the street. Aware of it, lives in Payless where there are very strict gun laws, where there are no gun shops. So in his community where his children grow up, he wants to make sure it's a very safe community. Over in Riverdale, where he has his gun shop, he's one of the number one contributors to the mayor there, because Chuck's gun shop is a huge tax base for Riverdale. Plus, he's an individual and a business contributor to the mayor, so you have this support group around them to keep them going, because they understand, what an NRA guy told me a long time ago. It's all about business. The number one consumer of guns in America today are not hunters, are not gun collectors. They are the illegal gun. So you stop illegal guns from coming to the street. You shut off the easy access and the loopholes and the poor gun shops and all these ways that guns are being out. So I can come in there right now, for instance, as Mike Pfleger, have my Boyd card to buy 200 legal guns from Chuck's. Now, if somebody's buying 200 guns, you're going to sell them on the street. You're not having 200 guns laying around your house. You know what they're doing. But they're caught. It's illegal to do that. So I can sell them on the street. That gun comes up in a crime. Right now, the way the laws are in this country, they come back to me and say, your gun was found in a crime. We know you bought this at Chuck's. All I have to do is sign a piece of paper saying it must have been stolen or I must have lost it. I don't know, and I have no responsibility. All I want to do is make people responsible. Treat a gun like a car. If I give you my car and I don't transfer a title and you're in an accident, I'm responsible. Same thing with a gun. So if you buy 200 guns, you have 200 titles. You don't transfer them legally to another person and you're selling them in straw purchases, that gun comes up in a crime, you will be held responsible. I'm not trying to take guns away from anybody. I'm trying to make people accountable who are making lots of money off of guns. Like the NRA told me, number one consumer, the illegal weapon, we cut them from doing that. That means less guns that are made, less guns the gun manufacturers make money off of, less money they have to pay the NRA. It's all about money. Just follow the money trail. These people are making millions and millions of dollars off of blood in our streets, and they don't care. Because as long as the primary victim of gun violence in this country is black and brown and poor, they don't give a damn, because they're sitting in their wealthy, gated communities living off of the blood that's going on in the city. And all I'm saying is, understand, brothers and sisters, that that's what they said about drugs. And then drugs went to all the wealthy communities. Then we had a war on drugs. Well, this gun violence is going to come to your house too. And if you decide to care about our lives, or sooner or later you're going to care because it's your children being killed.
Wow. That was a strong